I think go ahead and let's talk about the tour. While we're here, let's kind of give an overview of everything that you got going on, and then we can go just kind of go over out on the crane itself after that.
Probably had a.
What are you looking for, Charlie?
That black IO module.
Right there.
One that tripped over. Right, this is one of two output modules that are in the turret. This is the power to the IO module. It just plugs into here just for power. Just power. The actual communication link will be through this purple cable. Plugs into here. It's going to be important that y'all learn the meaning of the little LED lights that are on here for diagnostics. For instance, when you've got communication, you'll have a blinking green light here that tells you that you've got communication actively going. I don't know how much of that's actually going.
I don't think that's
probably not. I'm probably going to have to write that myself because it gets a little involved for Dave to write that up. So I'll probably write it up myself. But I'll get that to you as soon as I can. There's two of these in here. One is for the pilot manifold, and the other one is for the lockout manifold. The lockout manifold is a lot more complicated than you're used to. I think you're used to having one with like two solenoids on it or one. This one's going to have a lot more, especially if you have radio remotes on it. The reason it grew is because we added the winch lockout functions to that manifold. So there's two extra solenoids for locking out the two separate winches. We added the solenoids that lock out your third rack limiter. So there's an extra 4. If you have two winches, there's an extra 4 solenoids on that manifold just for those two functions. And we also have added swing right and swing left lockout functions that are not actually being used right now. We may use them in the future. They're required on certain CE cranes. And so we've got that capability, but we're not actually using it.
Why do you look at me?
I'll just say Germany.
You know, when I still lose sleep at night over that.
There's two of these, they look identical, and they are identical except for the labeling. And inside here, there's a, you have to, if y'all aren't familiar with IO modules, you have to set their addresses and their node and their baud rate. In here, there's 3 dip switches that have to be adjusted. These actually come from here already done, but if you ever had to replace one, it may not be set at the right number on there. I haven't done this up to now, but I'm thinking about putting another label on here that gives that address on there, because this one here is specifically for the pilot manifold based on the labels that are here. It tells you which solenoid they go to. These all go to solenoids. Some of them aren't used. There's one here that says horn. Forget that. It's not being used. But here's the cab up, cab down. Here's the PBU, which is the brake solenoid. Here's the REM solo connection for if you have radio remotes. This is the one that radio remotes communicates to the rest of the system that is active. You got the PSU, which is to me the most important one on here, for setting the pilot pressure. And then this is the one for the PSD, which turns on and off the joysticks. If this night is already covered in the manual, I'll have it covered in another issue that I'll get to y'all.
So if one of our, like, let's say if we've got it in winch 2-speed, am I going to get a blinking green LED or a solid green LED?
You get solid yellow LED.
Okay, if it's energized.
It's energized.
Okay.
If this is for instance, if let's say the cab won't go up, cab won't go up. Okay, under the cab up, if that yellow light is on when you push the cab up button, the problem is not with the computer, the keypad, the wiring. The problem is between here and the solenoid that actually activates, that hydraulically activates that function. So that's why I said it's going to be real important for y'all to read and understand what each of these does and what you're looking for. Some of these are not digital output, some are actually PWM signals. For instance, the pilot, the PSU is a PWM signal, and the reason for that is that we have the capability of varying, inside the software, we have the capability of varying the pilot pressure, so it's not just something you set on the valve itself. The valve itself does have an override that you can set, but in terms of normal operation, it's actually computer controlled, high pressure computer control. The other one, I say the other one will be labeled things like A2B, what's the other ones? Well, you got your winch lockout, aux winch lockout. I could well label. I mean,
For you guys that are used to looking at Manitex schematics, it won't take you very long to figure out what that little three letter, I mean,
yeah, the designation.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure we'll be coming out with enhanced information that may not be covered. This is an operator's manual.
Right,
I'm kind of talking about diagnostics.
yeah, we got to get there.
So we'll get you more information on that. You got Jeff's telephone number?
Sure.
Yes, we do.
And I'll give you his house number then here in a little bit.
Yeah.
And then we have, anyway, there's so there's two of these inside the turret, and on the 50-ton, you can actually sit in the cab and you can see these lights. So you push the button and say, oh yeah, that's working. So that's kind of nice. So you can actually see that. The third IO module is actually inside this box, which isn't very visible, but it's inside here. And this is where we receive and process all of the inputs from the outrigger sensors, and we also we send out the signals for the start-stop functions on the engine, and the let's see, start-stop, that's about it, start-stop. Right, throttle's all separate anyway, so. That's about all I really had to say for now, unless you have some specific questions you want to kind of ask me about. Okay?
Yeah.
Mikey, you want to give us a quick rundown on the new iScout?
Yep.
Charlie may have some things to add as you go through it, but
No, I want to listen to him. I wanna-
Okay, I'm sure you guys haven't played with the console yet here. Real quick before I close it up. USB port, actually used to update the software in it.
Not play your iPod?
You might be able to do videos that way. You guys won't be able to do that right now, but it does work. Well, I haven't even showed Manitex how to do it quite yet. But it's basically plug the USB stick in, power off. You hit hold two buttons and the procedure goes through downloads. It takes about 5 minutes to do, max.
so theoretically moving forward, you call me and say, hey man, I need a load chart, okay? Then I'm going to send you a jump drive, or I'll send you something you can put on a jump drive to flash it in.
That's just graphics here. Load chart wise changes, you bought it without a jib and you add a jib, you'll be in here.
Okay?
Now, to upload software into here, he'll actually have to send you a cord like this. That's the USB. And then it'll plug in. The connector that's here, this is first generation. It actually has a big cable, M12 connector. It went to a smaller M8, because the problem is you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, possible 6 across there. They could cross them over.
Okay.
So they went to a totally dedicated connector. To update this, turn it off, plug it in, USB stick in, turn power on. There's actually an S. Everybody see that? The S1 light flashes here. What it'll do, it'll come on solid. And of course, if you have a light on the USB stick, it'll light up. About 20 to 30 seconds, that light will go out. Turn power off, pull this off, power back up, and off you go. You'll have to set up sensors again, but it's real easy right now.
So what's so why do you have two different USB ports, and in what situation would I only use the USB port that's on the display?
For the display itself.
Just for the display.
So anytime there's software downloading or uploading, it's going to be through the PLC?
If you're uploading this, plug into the PLC.
Right.
If you're uploading this, plug in there.
So there's two different bits of software these days. It's not just a data and TLK anymore.
No.
Ignore data and TLK, you don't have that anymore.
Okay.
I mean, you do, but it's not a file labeled as a DAT file and a TLK file.
Like it used to be, okay. Okay.
I mean, I know you're still using, say, I need a DAT file or TLK referencing load chart or what.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still going to be used because people are in that mindset,
Yeah.
so to speak.
So so as far as the data that would be going into the PLC, is what kind of data is going to go in there versus what kind of data would go into the display. I mean, is there
Just
wonder?
a load chart into that.
And
Is
this
there-
here has everything for, because all these outputs here,
Uh
RIO,
huh. Uh
are configurable.
huh.
We
Okay.
can make them voltage. We can make them voltage diagnostic.
Okay.
We can make them analog. Current.
But I mean, theoretically, all we ever do, there's the functions that we would do is upload and download software. We would want to download the event recorder file.
Yeah, that's in the. It has the event recorder, but it's in the works of how we're going to manipulate them downloading or you guys downloading.
But so, I mean, is one of the, are we going to be more prone to use one more than the other? I mean,
You'll probably use this one more. Upload
Okay.
this more than that.
yeah.
Once the graphics get set and we get.
Once the graphics get set, then we shouldn't need to mess with that anymore, right?
Right.
Okay. All right.
Why did we lose power?
Lost power.
Sort of.
Sort of.
Sort of, yeah.
Everybody else did, we didn't. No, not everybody.
That's just the.
Damn, Ellen, I did it.
You have no right.
That's the new software put in for you today,
Yeah.
Charlie. Actually, power lights.
Bring down your utilities, yeah.
Bring back on the power grid. The graphics in here, whether it be a 50 ton, or 96, 110, 128, or 155, there's one program for this.
Yeah.
You go out and look at that 45 ton out there. Right now, the first screen will come up on the 96 foot boom,
Uh huh.
which should ask you, are the outriggers up, have the outriggers shown, and arrows pointing up and down,
Ah.
Are they up?
Okay.
or you're on the, because you have the rubber chart there.
So that's the type of thing you want to plug into the display.
Yeah, but that's automatically in here. The code here selects what pictures and graphics it uses out of the HMI.
Ah. Okay. Okay.
So really, when you put that file in here to upload this, you're putting in a shit pile of information for multiple cranes.
Okay. All right.
First day. Where were we at before that? We went off that tangent.
No, we were just talking about what.
Software. But all your load charts and stuff is stored in here.
Okay.
Crane geodata, the load charts are all stored in here.
So if these guys need to change out a display, they don't have to necessarily jack with the software anymore.
No, 'cause once we get the software you guys have here haven't been preloaded
Okay.
because we've changed it every time we've been here almost.
Yeah.
It's getting to the point where it's starting to be close to be finalized, but if you did you had a blank display there with no software in it, we send you the file, copy the procedure, plug it, put it in a USB stick, and you have to actually format these to FAT32
Okay.
and no bigger than 2 gig.
No bigger.
No big, as of right now, no bigger. That's what they have tested up to, what they had. So you didn't want to go say, okay, go grab an 8 gig, and then something happened. That's the only reason on that. You know, it might change to go to 8, 32 gig memory sticks at a point in time here, but right now, don't go above 2 gig. And you don't need any more.
Yeah.
I think you're only putting 10, 15 meg on, something like that. So it's not massive amounts.
So it's always going to be a thumb drive. There is no harness or anything to hook up.
Just, it would be over here for this cable for this one. But there's no,
Yeah, but
you don't
it's
need a
still-
laptop.
No laptop.
There's no laptop.
Okay.
I mean, really, you send the secretary out and upload it. It's pretty easy.
Well, that's one issue we run into these days is laptops running 7 versus XP, and it's not compatible with 7
Or no DB9 serial input cable connectors on the back. They're all
Oh,
USB.
yeah.
all laptops are USB now. So yeah, it's you have to find just the right adapter to work.
I mean, if worst came to worst and you had to access it via laptop, this is all Ethernet connection.
Okay.
Put that green cable here without the screwdriver. They actually call it an M12 decoded connector. You can look at it, it actually looks like a can cable, but there's actually 2
Right.
notches there. And then just the standard Cat5 Ethernet on it. If you, worst case, have to do that.
Right.
You know, if something happens to this connector, got